Welcome to the Treasure Box. For anyone new visiting, I'm Wendy. I sell vintage and contemporary jewelry and accessories. This is a little bit of a new video for me. I've mainly been doing haul videos. I did plan to do some what sold videos. I don't know if I'll do them every month, but March was a good month and I thought I would definitely add them in occasionally. This is my first what sold video. So these are all my sales for the month of March. I just want to also emphasize I do have a small store. I have a basic store. I have, at the most, I've had 240 listings and I waffle between 220 or so and 240. So hopefully this week I'll past 250 and then I'll work my way up to the 350. Eventually one day I'd like to do 1,000, but for now I'm definitely on the smaller scale here. Anyway, just to give you an idea of sales based on that size of a store. So my first sale of this month, and they're all in order, and I have added some notes in just for reference because sometimes there is a discrepancy even though you have the sold price here. If you've accepted an offer or sent an offer, sometimes it's a little bit different. So I want to make sure that all information that I relay is accurate. So this is a vintage Karl Lagerfeld necklace that I got from a local consignment store. To be honest, I didn't even realize it was Karl Lagerfeld when I found it. It was just really, I really liked the necklace a lot. And I was like, KL, who is that? It's not Kenneth J. Lane. And then I realized it was Karl Lagerfeld. So I had a lot of watchers when I listed this because, obviously certain designers, Chanel, Givenchy, certain things, Yves Saint Laurent are just going to command watchers. So I listed it, which I thought was a fair price. And I had a lot of offers. And I figured if I sent an offer, somebody would buy it. And that is what happened. So it sold for 260, took 3 weeks to sell. And I'm really happy with that. In New York City or LA, if you have a boutique, you could probably double the price on this. But for eBay, and, I was good with that. I could have waited longer and tried to sell it for higher, but I felt like that was a fair price for it. And to be honest, the quality was a lot different than I expected. Like vintage Chanel is very, very like substantial. And this was actually, to me, very lightweight. I expected it like a more of a higher quality, quite honestly, for Karl Lagerfeld. I mean, it was nice. It just wasn't quite what I thought it would be. So that was sort of my thinking as well in pricing. So let me go on to the next piece, which is this Kenneth J. Lane garden party enamel bangle bracelet. I got this on Shop Goodwill, and I got these a while ago. I have a pair of them. So it took 15 months to sell. They are hard to find, so I was kind of holding at my price, and then I added best offer, and somebody sent me one for 135 plus shipping, so I accepted. And they were in excellent condition. I haven't bought anything on Shop Goodwill in over a year. I think it's a great resource, but with the pandemic, everybody has kind of flooded the online auctions. So I buy at local online auctions, but I've kind of stayed away from Shop Goodwill, but I do think it's a great resource. So the next one is this vintage Florenza Maltese cross brooch. Oh my gosh, this took too long to sell. I got this at a local Goodwill and I felt it was more valuable than it was. Finally sold it for 25 plus shipping. Yeah, that just took long. Some of their crosses are valuable. This isn't one of them. Let's see. The next one is this compact. So I had 4 of these different colors that I got at an estate sale. And I just love these compacts. They're vintage Yves Saint Laurent jeweled compacts made in collaboration with Robert Goussons. And these were basically like new. All the powder was still in them. They were never used. I've sold 3 of them. 2 went overseas. So the first one sold for like 150. I think the second one sold for about 125. And then this one sold for 100. I think she used a freight forwarder because I'm pretty sure this one went to Asia. So 2 of mine went to Asia. But yeah, I love these compacts. I would probably still buy them again, even though they weren't fast movers. I love vintage compacts. But keep that in mind if you ever see them. You could take a lower price, but they're not the fastest moving things. Next up is this Limoges, France butterfly trinket dish, and I got this at a church sale, and it took a year to sell, and it sold for 35 plus shipping. And I really love this trinket dish. It's really pretty. It's actually probably more of like a candy dish. I sometimes repurpose things as trinket dishes, sugar bowls, because honestly, you can put jewelry in here. It doesn't have to go with its original function. So I just called it a trinket dish. Okay, so next up is this Carolee Luxe flower bib statement necklace, and I got this at the local Goodwill Goodwill. It took a year to sell, and it was for 75 plus shipping. This was a really pretty necklace. It almost was like a gilded lace. Like it had that, it looked like lace, but it looked like it was gilded. And I think, I'm not familiar with the line, but I think it might be a higher end line of Cara Lee because it had the tags on it, said Cara Lee Luxe. But I really loved this necklace, and I actually thought it would sell faster than it did. Next up, we have this vintage 1974 Avon Abbey filigree cross pendant. And this didn't have its chain. I got it at the same consignment store I bought the Karl Lagerfeld. It wasn't a big return by any means, but I just really liked it. And I think it went to Canada. So, and that sold in a month for 16 plus shipping. Next up is these Doncaster clip-on earrings. This was also the same consignment store. I think I bought those on a different visit, and it sold within a month for 28 plus shipping. The buyer sent me a really lovely note. I kept that. I've had some buyers, when they send me like really sweet messages, I end up keeping them in my inbox because it's just kind of nice. And when you get these really personal messages that they really enjoy the product. So then let's see. We have this vintage Monet peacock brooch. I love this. I got this at a local thrift store. It took 3 months to sell. I originally priced it lower and it was not moving. The people had them listed at like around $25. I actually felt it was more valuable than that. Then I kind of like re-looked at it, and then I saw one had sold for more, and then I actually changed the price on it. I may have ended the listing and renewed it or what, but I listed it higher and then it sold, which was kind of interesting because I'd had it listed at a lower price for 3 months and suddenly it resold when I marked it higher. Sometimes that method does work. Then there is this Mikhail Negrin pendant necklace. And I've spoken about Mikhail Negrin in my videos. She is an Israeli designer, very successful. She had stores kind of around the world. She did close her business over a year ago. Her necklaces are very collectible. I don't come across them as often as I would. Local consignment store, took 5 months to sell, and I accepted an offer for 70 plus shipping. Next up is this vintage Carlisle Fabergé egg scarf. I love this scarf. I got it at a local sale here in town. She has a barn which she stores stuff, and she had a whole bag of scarves, and I got several. Ironically, she sells stuff, but she could have sold this probably too for a lot more than she realized. But it's one of those things where Fabergé eggs are very, people really love that style and design. Carlisle, there weren't a ton of solds of Carlisle. I just felt that comps aside, I don't always go based on comps. I'm kind of looking at the style, and like this particular scarf, I just felt like somebody would really want this and they would pay more for it. So I did list it at 125 plus shipping. It did go to Italy. I was going to cancel the sale. It was actually a gift for his wife, but when I went to go send it, there is a clause in the Italian shipping. When you go to look, before you ship your order, it's like, well, check what the rules are for the country. And believe it, you should check Italy. It's kind of crazy. I probably should have screen grabbed this. You cannot sell what's called haberdashery. And I'm like, okay, what the heck is haberdashery? It's gloves, scarves, textiles, because I think ultimately it directly competes with their industry, because Italy is known for their textiles, for their luxury goods. This wasn't any competition. It's a vintage scarf. So I didn't want to risk my eBay account, but I knew it was also a gift. So I went ahead with the sale anyway and shipped it. And luckily it did arrive with no problem. I've sold quite a few things to Italy. Their customs can be quite, I've heard a lot of bad things about Italy customs. I've never had any issues, but I was worried that this might get stuck in customs, but it didn't. But I will probably think twice about selling scarves to Italy again. Just probably not worth the risk. But anyway, that did go to Italy, and hopefully his wife enjoyed the gift. Next one is this vintage Kramer of New York tassel brooch. This sold in a day. I'd gotten this at a local estate sale. I think this may have been a freight forwarder as well. I feel like she's somebody who's bought from me before. But she approached me after I listed, and she's like, will you take 50 for it? And I think it's because she had those international costs of using the freight forwarder. I think when I looked at her name, I think it was China, but when I actually went to send it, when went to, ship it. It only actually went to like, those freight forwarding places like in Delaware or Portland. It wasn't going through like eBay's international shipping. It seemed to be going domestically, and she's kind of taking care of the rest of it. So next up is this vintage MMA brooch. This took a long time to sell, 16 months. I got this at a local church sale. This is one of my favorite church sales. It was canceled last year. It's so much fun. They have a whole jewelry room, and everybody's in there picking, and it's just really hard because the room is small and there's like so much jewelry. I thought this would sell a lot faster than it did, 40 plus shipping. Took quite a while. And I love MMA. I never pass up their jewelry. Next up is this vintage Christmas charm brooch. I got this from a local auction. Took 5 months to sell. He was also a UK buyer, but it went to New York, so I don't know if his friend was taking it over for him or waiting for him and just holding it for him. But anyway, it didn't end up going to the UK, but the buyer was in the UK. $27.50 plus shipping. Okay, and then the next one is this Kenneth J. Lane clip-on earrings. These took 8 months to sell. I originally bought them on eBay. This is kind of early on when I was selling jewelry, and I'd kind of buy here and there on eBay. I don't even know if I intended to sell jewelry at that point. I was kind of buying things right, here and there. And so I'd had these. They've just been, sitting here, and I was like, I should just list these. And they had like China on the back. They were probably a QVC. They're not like the higher end Kenneth J. Lane piece. They're pretty and they looked brand new, but I just, I decided to move them along. So 25 plus shipping on those. I'm just going to grab a sip of water. This is a Chico's necklace I found at a local estate sale. It sold in a week. I probably could have asked a little bit more on this. I couldn't find another one. It was very kind of interesting looking. Possibly could have gotten 30 to 35. I don't know. I really liked it, but happy that it sold quickly. Let's see. The next one is these sterling silver tiger earrings. So these came from a local online auction, took 5 months to sell. It was a small little lot. They were like all cat jewelry, and I had seen these in the photos, and they weren't marked silver. I knew they were, but in the description they weren't. And this was kind of earlier on. There was less competition in the local online auctions because I think these would have probably gone for more. But they didn't. So, but I waited for the right buyer because I thought these earrings were fabulous. Really, really loved these. Very unique. So they sold for 78 plus shipping. Grabbing another sip of water. This is Jorgen Jensen, a Scandinavian designer, a vintage designer. This took 19 months to sell. Got it at a local thrift store. I really like his pieces. This may not be one of my more favorite ones. They kind of look like claws or a little bit more of a tribal mark. But, eventually everything does sell. Just took a lot longer than I thought. So 49 plus shipping on that one. Getting close to the end. Next is this dragonfly brooch, kind of a plique azure style. Sold for 18 plus shipping in 3 months, and I got it from a local thrift store, and that was unsigned. Next up is this Monet statement brooch. This is from a local online auction. It took a year to sell. And there was a chip in it, a pretty big chip in the stone here. So that's why I kind of just accepted the offer. I think this was going to a freight forwarder as well. I feel like she was in Asia or Russia. This box, though, this lot I got was one of the best lots I've ever gotten. It was early on, like February of last year. So kind of right before the pandemic hit and less people were buying online. I got this fabulous lot. They just didn't take really good pictures or describe it very well. So there was like gold in my lot. There was like, Murano kind of glass and Italian necklaces. Like, it's just a really good lot. So that was probably my best lot I've ever found. It's probably like over $1,000 worth of jewelry. It was just a really good lot. So, I didn't mind parting with this for $20 plus shipping. I do feel like it was a more valuable brooch, but because of the chip and because I had it listed so long, I was willing to just kind of let it go for less. You always kind of have to weigh that as a seller. Like, some pieces you want to hold out for because you really like them. They're hard to find or they're your favorites. And others are just like, okay, I've had this for a long time. I'm willing to just let it go. Next up are these vintage faux Baroque pearl earrings, and they're very Miriam Haskell style. They weren't signed. It's possible they could have been hers. I'm not a Miriam Haskell expert. I have had a few pieces of hers, but they just really looked a lot like her style, but they weren't signed, so I don't know what to make of them. I had them listed for 8 months. Another one, it was a local online auction, and accepted an offer for 40 plus shipping on those. Next up is another Macau Negra necklace, also bought from the same consignment store. I think I may have got them at the same time, because I think the woman who dropped them off had dropped off several necklaces. And so sold that for 80 plus shipping, took 4 months. I did have this marked at about 120. I do feel like it was worth more, but I had somebody who was interested in it, and sometimes it's better to just take the offer than sit with something. I'll just kind of have to weigh that. So I did go ahead and accept the offer. Next up is this Swarovski Hamsa hand necklace. My only Goodwill blue box I've ever bought. It was probably last March or April, early on in the pandemic. I do think Goodwill blue box is fun. I can find enough stuff locally that I don't need to, I have enough access to jewelry, even though, there were times where the stores were closed. You can just always find stuff. So that was my only time I've purchased a Goodwill blue box. Took 9 months to sell. And this were the premium boxes, so they're only like 15 pieces. So probably about cost like $5 for this piece if I break it down by number of pieces. And that sold for 75 plus international shipping. Next up is also from my favorite consignment store, this Juicy Couture Acorn Charm necklace. And this took 3 months to sell, and it sold for 175 plus international shipping. It is the first time I've ever sent anything to Israel, so that was a new one for me. I have a lot of Europe and Asia, like the UK, Asia, Russia, Canada. I've never had Israel though, so I held out and kept my price firm on this because it is a very hard to find piece. I have a couple Juicy Couture necklaces. They don't move, but the charm bracelets and the charms are definitely worth picking up and buying. I didn't know this was a hard to find or more valuable piece when I bought it. I just really thought it was cute, and I liked that it was in the box. So I figured, close to 100 was what I was thinking in my head, or thereabouts. But when I researched it, I found that this is a really hard to find charm. Plus, it was new in the box, and it came on a chain as well. So she kind of got the added bonus of that. So let's see, a couple more pieces. These vintage Givenchy clip earrings. Got them from a consignment store. These sold in a day for 50 plus shipping. They did have a little bit of wear here, like almost like you can see the silver coming through. So they did have quite a bit of wear. They didn't have like logos, so I felt 50 was fair. I actually didn't think they'd sell that quickly. I was sort of surprised. And just two more pieces. Next piece is this Bogner Silk Square Paisley scarf. This sold for 35 plus shipping in 2 months. I'm pretty sure I got this from a local church thrift store. There's one that's been closed all year. They have fabulous scarves. This is really small. I know 23 inches seems decent size, but it's kind of where maybe you could wrap it around your neck or in your hair or to your bag, but it's not one you could wear around your shoulders. So I was kind of not sure how to price this one. I probably could have asked more. Bogner is a very kind of higher end ski wear line. When I was out of college, I did work at Paragon Sporting Goods store in New York City. So I know ski wear pretty well, and Bogner does sell pretty high end ski wear. So it's probably worth more, but I'm happy with the sale. It's a pretty scarf, and so a lot of times it's just about finding the right person for it as well. So last sale of the month was this sterling silver bow necklace, also in that same Goodwill blue box. Took 9 months to sell. I'd only had, I think, 1 or 2 people interested in this prior. I can't even remember what my original price was on this. It might have been like 50 or thereabouts. I don't know how many grams it is. It's in the listing, but it's not in the title. So I had one person approach me in the last month who wanted it for like $20 or $25. I'm like, okay, that's less than melt value. So I did get another offer, and I just decided to go ahead and accept it. So it's a really pretty necklace. I hope they will enjoy it. And so, that is the last sale of the month. So I'm going to jump ahead to my last screen, I did do a screenshot of my sales so you can see. So I'm not going to go into the cost per item, but at least you can see what the sales were for the month. So my total sales were $19.35 and 57 cents. My net was $14.62.60. So you can see how much eBay takes. The selling costs, which are both their cost as well as shipping labels, and then you also have the government fees. So yeah, they do take quite a bit, but eBay is a great platform, and where else are you going to find this many people also looking at items and purchasing stuff? So the only other thing I want to mention is the promoted listing. So I promote all my sales at 2%, and I do think it's worth it. I don't know if there's really a difference between 1 or 2%. Maybe I should try 1% and see if it makes a difference in sales, because it could save me a little bit of money over the long run. But for the last, since they've added promoted sales, I don't know how long that was, at least over a year and a half, I've been doing 2%. So you can see by this that of my organic sales, ones that weren't promoted, that's almost 56.8% of my sales were organic, and then 43.2% was promoted. So it's definitely worth it to promote your sales if you are an eBay seller, and you can decide what amount works for you. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this What Sold in March. I don't know if I will do these every month, but I'll do them periodically, and I just kind of wanted to show you what sold and really how long it takes for things to sell, because I know a lot of people think things should sell really quickly, and the thing with eBay, no matter what you're selling, if you're selling jewelry, you're selling clothing, collectibles, the right buyer can come along at any time. It could be a day, it could be a month, it could be a year or longer. So you just kind of have to weigh all the different factors and decide, what works best for you. So anyway, hope you're enjoying the videos. Please hit like or subscribe. I also have the Buy Me a Coffee feature as well in the description. That's another way to support the channel. I do have some haul videos coming up. I have been buying things over the past couple weeks, so I will be working on those to also put out in the next week or two. So that is it for this video, and thank you so much for watching. Okay, bye.